Yo, what's going on, guys? TheAhrora here, and welcome to a new series I'm starting up. So basically, this is just a little tips kind of series I want to do on every single map, which I go in depth on just a bunch of different type of stuff in the map, from smoke spots to boost spots to little angles you can hold to some fucking tips and kind of tricks. I guess you could call it a CSGO tips and tricks series. I really haven't uploaded stuff like that, but I've played the game enough and do play it still that I know some stuff, and a lot of people that watch me, I know that I get comments that they're not high ranks and they want to know how to get out of silver or want to know how to get an MG, or just anyone who's interested in getting better at CSGO. I'm just sharing my knowledge and knowledge from the community that I've seen. So basically, this is a little breakdown, the first part of boost spots, angles, and little tips for holding sites and all that stuff. If you guys like the video or you want to see more on different maps, let me know what map you want to see, or if you wanted to see more of these, just let me know in the comment section below. This is a new series, so I'd love some feedback, and yeah, let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first boost in boost spots on the entire map of Cache is the most common boost in the map. It is just basically, the call out for it is called boost. You basically have one teammate on terrorist side just boost you up, and you can see into mid at the start of the round really fast, and you can get a pick with an op or etc. Now, for the opposite side of the map, if you are a counter terrorist, you can have two people push mid and boost, which is called counter boosting. You can counter boost over boost and push into A main or sit on top of boost and get a quick kill on someone. This is usually used in eco rounds and stuff like that. Alright, so this next boost, which is kind of common, is called Shroud. I was always told it was called Shroud. Depending on what region you're from, could be called a different name, but it's a little symbol boost here in front of A main. You can jump on top of these barrels and have a teammate push you on top of these boxes, and then from on top of these boxes you can cover A main, squeaky, highway, A site. You can let people come out, and this is usually used to get like a surprise kill on a bunch of people that are walking out of A main and stop a push. Not many people check there, and it usually is a good spot that you can get a bunch of kills from.
Same mistake they made earlier in the game. 25 seconds left. If the clock runs out on them and they give up overtime, it will be the heartbreak of a generation. Molotov's in, set piece out. Shroud has let them all pass. 1, 2, 3! Oh, jeez, it's the last one alive! Oh, they just tied it! They're going to overtime!
Oh my god, huge play by Shroud right there.
Alright, so this next spot is a boost as a counter-terrorist. You can have a teammate run in front of the vents and crouch, and you can boost up into the vents. And basically, you can help your teammates stop a mid-push, and if you really had to, you can turn around and hold checkers from vents. It really is an alright spot. People check it sometimes, but you can use it maybe every now and then to catch people off guard. Alright, so back onto another spot on A site on Cache. You can just have a teammate crouch in the little corner on A site, and you can boost on top of him while he is standing up, and you can see into A main and kind of cover truck. It's a little bit of a different spot. It's not really used much, but I've used it a couple times. It works, but it's not something you want to use a lot. Alright, so this next spot is basically used as an after plant situation. When you have a teammate just boost you to look over quad, you can have a teammate just stand on top, you jump, and as soon as you jump he stands up, and you can barely see over the top of the quad boxes. And then whenever you see over top, you can see highway, A main, push up from truck, and you can cover a lot. It's a pretty good spot, and it's really good for covering the bomb after it's been planted, and I've won a bunch of rounds by using that spot, and it comes in pretty handy, especially if you have some coordinated teammates and you can get it done. Alright, so this next boost spot, which is something a little bit different, you don't see used all that often, but I've seen it a few times. Usually used on eco rounds as a counter-terrorist team, where you have everybody stack mid and hope you get a mid push, and all of you guys are there since you're only using pistols, where you have one player basically boost all four on top of this little building in mid, and you guys can all sit up there with pistols. It's something weird, but people have used it, but you can get a teammate on top of there really fast off the spawn, and it's really good, especially if you don't have a smoke to cover mid main. I don't know, I've seen it used sometimes, but I thought I'd just include it since it technically is a boost spot. Alright, so this next boost spot is probably one of my favorites in the map, and I use it a lot. It basically is a spot you'd use as a terrorist when the counter terrorists on eco and they stack mid. So if they were to rush mid as a 5-man group, you can have a teammate boost you on top of this little box, and you can hold the mid push. It's an off angle, so nobody's really going to be expecting it, especially if they 5-man push. They're going to be checking the corners and to the right and left. They're not going to be looking up, so you can really get a good spray down, and it's also very useful if you want to get some really easy kills. Alright, so we're heading back into mid. This is a different kind of boost spot. It's not really something you're going to see really at all. while, but I've used it maybe once or twice. It's for whenever the terrorists smoke mid connector or Z, whatever you want to call it, and you have a teammate boost you over to smoke to watch a boost. It basically gives you a free kill if anybody goes over boost. They're not going to be looking at the smoke, especially since it's basically a one-way. Only you can see them. It's almost nearly impossible to get killed from there, especially if you're opping and they're not going to be expecting to see you in a smoke. But yeah, it's a really, really different kind of spot if you're trying to get that little pick in mid, especially if they smoke you guys out. Alright, so we're heading back over to Shroud. This is a different way to get on top of there, especially if you're solo. Basically, you can do a little strafe jump off of the A main default box onto Squeaky, and then onto this little lamp, then onto Shroud. I'd recommend doing a little bit of practice this in an offline match just so you can get the jump down. It's kind of hard, but if you can do it, it can maybe come in handy. I've never done it in a match, but basically, if you want to, that's another way you can get up onto Shroud. So this is another way to get on top of Shroud. It is basically a lot safer way, but it definitely takes practice with a friend you know, or just anyone who's on your team if you're playing in an open team or something. So basically, you're going to want to practice this for sure. You want to have some coordination. It is a safer way instead of running over and boosting up, because you can get sprayed through the smoke if you're trying to boost yourself up normally. But if you can have some coordination, a little practice, you can do a run boost with your teammate running backwards on top of the box. When you jump on top of his head, you can strafe onto the lamp and land it. It definitely takes practice, but if you can get the hang of it, it can make getting on top of Shroud a lot safer and a lot faster. So this is from your teammate's point of view that's basically running and throwing you on the Shroud. You want to run off the ledge and jump on his head, and your teammate that is basically running underneath you is going to want to start running backwards soon as you land, and then you want to jump off and strafe onto that lamp. It's kind of complicated, but at the same time, if you can do it, it makes getting on the Shroud a whole lot safer and a whole lot faster. Alright, so keeping on the topic of run boost, this is a run boost you would use as a terrorist. So basically, once you guys plant the bomb, you can run boost from the B site onto heaven. It is a really good way of getting to a spot that the counter terrorists won't expect, but you're definitely going to have to practice, because you can't try this multiple times, especially once you plant the bomb. People are going to be shooting at you. So if you can do this very fast, you can have a teammate already in heaven before they even rotate. Alright, so staying at the B site, we have another spot that is only used in specific situations. You want to use this when you know an opper is going to sit in the sunroom and try to shoot at you guys from B. So you want to have a teammate basically smoke off B main, and then you want to have you guys both jump on this box in the back of B site. The person who is not opping boosts the opper up, and he can see in a sunroom and get a really easy kill. And it is also something that the other team is not going to expect, and you can get basically a free kill if you get lucky enough that a person is sitting there. Alright, so this next boost spot is a solo boost for the counter boost. This is something that I can't do. I don't know anyone really can do it, but there are people who can do it. If you're really good at KZ or just have really good movement in CSGO, you can basically self-boost yourself up onto boost by running across this little rafter, and then running across and strafe jumping around the wall, landing on this little fucking thing, and then jumping on. It's really hard. I'm just going to show you how to do it. I was in a private match, so I basically just turned the gravity off a little bit so I could stay in the air longer. I cannot do it for my life, but if you can, props to you. But this is another way to get up there. Just thought I'd put it in there. I can't do it, but if you can, round of applause to you. Alright, so this next spot is one of my favorite spots to boost onto the map. It basically is a different way to peek the opper at quad if you're opping from highway. You can boost on top of white box and peek quad, especially if you just pre-aim and zoom in. It is an off angle, so it's going to be a lot harder for the opper to flick up to you, especially if you're pre-aiming it and he's there. Easy kill for you. For him, he's going to have to flick. A lot of people just hold where the spools are. That's a common spot. Everyone's going to be holding that, especially if they're opping from quad to highway. Just if you can boost over top, it's going to give you a much easier kill on the opper, especially if you're going to peek him op v op, because he's going to be holding that angle. Easy kill for him, but if you're on top of the white box, he has to flick, and it'll be an easier kill for you. It basically gives the advantage in your favor from him having the advantage if you peek normally. Alright, so this next spot is a spot you would use for saving as a counter-terrorist. So let's say you're playing A site or mid and your teammates lose B and you want to go save. The best spot to save on the map, if you could choose any of them, is definitely Squeaky, because there's only 2 ways in and 2 ways out. So you want to have, if possible, you can have a teammate boost on top of this box, and it's an off angle to hold the Squeaky door. And all you have to do is just stand here in front of that box, crouch, then stand up, and then you jump on top. It is a off angle. No one checks it. Easy spot, could get a free kill or two, especially if they push you, which they more than likely won't. And then you can, as your friend or you are holding that side, you can go over to this side and you can hold the other side by just jumping on top of this box and running across this little electrical box thing. I don't know what it's called, but basically you guys can get up above the normal height and be boosted in weird angles, so you each can cover each side and you both can easily save, and they're more than likely you're going to check a different corner, you're going to get a free kill. They just have more angles to check than you have to hold, so it's basically, if someone comes in there, unless they're pre-aiming that corner, then you have an easy kill. Alright, so this next spot is using the mid garage rafters to use as a little off angle. You can use them in many different spots, but the most common, the one I use the most, I use this one a lot, is you can strafe jump from the little box outside of vents onto the rafter and use it as an off angle to hold mid and boost. It is really good. You can also jump over to the second rafter in mid, but I really don't like that one because it's really hard to cover mid and boost at the same time. I wouldn't recommend jumping over to the second one unless you really wanted to. Stay on that first rafter and you can hold mid and boost very easily. So now another one which I really don't use, but you can get up there. So if you want to do a creative thing or just want to get up there for some reason, you can also get into these rafters in useless or connector, B connector, whatever you want to call it. You can get up there and hold a rotate or something. I don't know, another weird off angle if you wanted to boost up there, having a friend boost you up there. You also can boost on the rafters outside of boost or outside behind garage. These are another weird spots. Just not really used that much, but yeah, you can get on top of them. Alright, so back over to B, we have this little different spot. It's a little off angle you can get on B. It's another little boosted area. Basically, you just run and jump from each box on the B site till you jump onto this first one. People usually call it first oranges, single stack. I don't know. There's a lot of different weird callouts for it. But yeah, you can get on top of there. Use it as a really good off angle if you want to get a first free kill. Nobody really clears that angle first. They're always clearing headshot and on site. So you definitely can catch people off guard, especially if they come sprinting out of those checkers or B main. Alright, so this next spot is a continuation off that mid little boost spot I showed you where you can hold a CT Eco B rush. You basically can get into another part of it. It's just basically jumping onto this little box. Nothing special, but yeah, you can get onto that little box and hold a different angle if you really wanted to. Kind of weird. Basically, you only can get into these two spots if you have a certain character model. I don't know if it's 1 out of 5 character models or 2 out of 5 character models. Certain people can get into spots depending on, I don't know, certain things, but no matter how hard you try, you have to have like a certain character model design on your shirt as a terrorist or counter-terrorist to get in them. I don't know. Don't ask me why. Ask Valve or whatever. But yeah, you only can get those certain spots with a certain character model. I believe on the terrorist side is the white t-shirt. So yeah, with a certain character model thing enables you to get on top of this little box in A main and the little crates in T spawn on T side. So basically, yeah, you only can get in those spots if you're like chosen that round. I don't understand. Alright, so this one I would only consider like a trolling spot. You can get on top of these lamps here above A site from on quad. So all you have to do is just strafe over to quad and strafe onto each lamp. You can get on all of them. I don't see a real like competitive use in this. Maybe if you're up 15-0 or something and you're feeling like trolling the other team in a weird spot. Yeah, this is something you can use. Yep, so you can get on all the lamps, but basically not really competitive use unless you're trying to be fucking crazy. Just yeah, you can get up there. It's something really weird. Super weird angle. I don't think I've ever used it, but feel free to go ahead and boost up there all you want. Alright, so the grand finale, the final boost spot that I know and I've really ever seen be useful on cache is this little spot in the T-spawn. You use this on terrorist side to hold B main with an op. Usually good to hold this on eco rounds as your entire team holds mid and A. You can basically jump on this sign. You have to jump from the front of it though. As you can see, I'm shaking my head. You have to jump from the front. So basically get on the front of the sign, move all the way to the left of the sign, zoom in, and you can see right into B main. You can see anybody pushing, and you'll be able to op them. Really good to hold on eco rounds, and you can get super easy kills. Nobody's going to clear that angle. Just a straight up easy kill, one click with the op, and they're dead. Alright, so this next spot was basically brought to my knowledge from Reddit. Stewie2K did a thing with a partner that he had. He basically had him sit in front of the squeaky door, turn around and face the side wall, and then open it, and the door swings towards him so we can see default. Normally the door swings out and you're kind of cut off and you only can see highway and fork, but you have to wallbang the default. But so if you have your friend or whoever crouch there, you can open it up and see default. So if someone goes to spam into squeaky, they can just get opped or sprayed down. It's a really, really good thing if you're trying to get a nice pick at A, and if it definitely would work if you're playing in a normal match. I've tried it multiple times, and it's worked every time they've peeked me, and definitely would recommend trying this out if you need to open up a round. It works out very well. Alright, so that concludes all the boost spots and angles on DE Cache. If I missed any, I'm sorry. Feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I might add them to the part 2 of the cache, which is smoke spots and wall bangs and stuff like that. So basically, we're heading on over to just holding sites and little tricky angles and ways you can hold sites and basically all that stuff. This is a shorter part of it, so boost was a longer part and this is a little shorter part. If you missed any of the boosts, you want to go rewatch them so you can memorize them, feel free to go back. And now we're heading right into basically holding sites and other little tips just for kind of holding down rushes and stuff like that. Alright, so this is a really cool angle. It's one of my favorite angles to hold if you're holding the A site, especially solo. If you smoke off A main and they try to do a little rush, really good angles to hold is right here, because if they push out a squeaky and they push out of A main, you are literally holding the angle where their head crosses, and it basically makes a really easy spray down. So as you can see what I'm drawing, basically the crossfire is just perfect. So if they run out, most people usually run straight to fork because if they think someone's holding fork, and if they're using Tech 9s, they're going to probably try to rush it. But you can literally just hold that angle right by fence, but kind of next to squeaky, and you have a perfect angle to watch anyone that comes out of A main, and it basically gives you a pretty good lineup. Another little small tip, if you plan on being the A player for this round and you want to basically go on cat fast, instead of running up to the bottom of the ladder and going up the ladder, you can jump on top of E-box and jump on top of the shed in mid, then jump on top of the ladder. It just makes it a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient route, so it can cut down some time getting up there. So if you're getting up there in a hurry or just want a faster way to get up there, it's a lot faster than running up the ladder, and it feels a lot better than just stalling in midair once you sprint up the ladder. Alright, this is another little A site default I hold whenever I'm the solo player at the A site at the start of the round. So if they are going to rush me, basically if you have A main smoked off and you are holding this angle on top of this little box, you will see whenever they start pushing, or if they throw a smoke out, which 9 times out of 10 they're going to smoke the cross just like that. And if I'm sitting on top of this little box, I can see that, and then I can straight up just throw a molly onto fork so they can't cross to fork. So once I throw the molly, I can give my teammates time to rotate and kind of hold the site the best I can against a 5-man rush. Alright, so this is another little mid setup default I do almost every round. This is something that most everybody should do. You should always smoke mid garage right away and then molly boost in case they do rush. It slows them down because the boost players can't go over and op or whatever, push up, or they're going to be walking on top of a molly. And if the mid players want to push out, they have to flash through a smoke, and jumping through a smoke, especially if you're at white box, is a bad idea because they have so many angles to clear and they're jumping through a smoke, so they're pretty up to die whenever they run through it, and it helps slow down a push, especially if they try to take mid control very early. Alright, so this is mainly a default I like to play instead of a 2-1-2. A lot of people like to run a 2-1-2 on all maps, but on cache I find it best to run a 1-2-2 in pugs and normal competitive games. So basically, just running a 1-2-2 just enables it that you have a quick A rotate, well, 2 quick A rotates, and you can lock down B. You don't need to play 2 people at A at the start of the round. You need to play 2 people mid because mid's so easy to take. Well, if you had the second player in mid backing you up, it just makes life a lot easier, and especially rotating from highway to toxic is really fast. It's about like a couple seconds at most, and you can definitely help out your A player. Your A player definitely should be your most talkative player on the team, especially if he's calling out, because you need to know if they're coming A, because if you don't rotate in time, obviously they're going to take the site. But yeah, if you can, try playing a 1-2-2, not a 2-1-2. It just makes it a lot easier, in my opinion. You can test out what you think is the best, but from what I've noticed in all the times I've played cache, playing a 1-2-2, 1 at A, 2 in mid, and 2 at B is, in my opinion, the best. Alright, so this is another B default I like to play. This little angle right here I'm holding right now is called snacks. A lot of people don't really check it, especially whenever you're first starting out. This is an angle they usually check after they get killed from it, so if you try to play that every now and then, people aren't going to see you, and you're going to be able to get a couple easy free kills with either walk out. But another default I like to be whenever I do have to play it is smoking off B main and flashing across, and either playing snacks, checkers, or just sitting back on site. But another thing you can do is push up. If you see where I'm jumping, I wouldn't normally do this, but this little angle right here, you can spray if someone's holding close, and since it's a silencer, which I'm using, you can't see through the smoke, so they have no clue where they're getting shot from, but they just get instantly killed from that right where I'm shooting. A lot of people hold that angle, especially if you're going to push the smoke. If they expect you to push the smoke, they're going to hold that angle, and you can just get an easy spray down on people. Alright, so that's going to conclude part 1 of the video. If you guys want to see part 2, just leave a like. Ratings are greatly appreciated. If you guys want to see, let me know in the comment section what map you want to see next. Probably end up doing that. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Something new to bring into my channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.